Okay, so let's revise what we have learned in the previous lectures regarding SQL injection. Okay, first, as a security or pen tester, what I would suggest you is whether these links concatenations are present in your site or not. That should be your first checking point when you are testing a site for SQL injection vulnerability. If you see something like parameters like question mark, if you are providing question mark, that means you are sending something as an parameters that might be to an database input. You see that all get ID, everywhere you will see something like question mark symbol. If you see that, that means there are some parameters passing to the database from your URL. So in that case, for each and every page in your web application where there is a scope of this question mark and the parameters followed by it, just try to give out the values by putting some special characters and see how the application is behaving. It should simply take you to the error page. That error page should be a friendly text message which should be in the scope of your website UI only. It should look same as your website UI and it should display something message like error message, please reach out to home page, which we have seen in one of the example. But by providing these special characters in parameters like this, if you see error exception, MS SQL Server, MySQL or Oracle, something internal exception which is showing you a white page with the text on it, then that means your website is in risk. The SQL parameters tampering is happening there and those are not properly handled from the developer side. So you have to inform them by showing that by providing special characters I am able to retrieve the exception internal messages, and with this the attackers can attack their database. Okay, so this is how you need to provide them. Not only the special characters, we have seen, right, order by one, order by two, like this. You can also write a small queries and see how the application is behaving. If the order is false within a columns, we are nicely seeing a page. If there are 4 columns and I say sort the 5th column, then it's saying error message saying that there is no column present, which we have seen in the last lecture. So it's internally saying that it's leaking the information of database structure, like 5th column is not present, 4th column is not present. That information should not be displayed to the end user, but that's happening. So you have to inform that these queries are successfully getting executed and the user is able to see all the exceptions which are handling. That means these internal exceptions are not handled well by the developer from their side. They have to handle in such a way that from front end it should be some kind of message saying you have reached this page by mistaken, please reach to home page, something like text within your website only. Okay, so that you have to be keep in mind before you do. And one more thing I can tell you here, if you see something like ID equals to 121, or let me say user ID, when you log in it will display like user ID equals to something like this. Okay, and also check that here it is saying in SQL, then it takes like this. If you provide user ID, select something star from table name we don't know, where user ID equals to, this is how it passes, right? And it will, where user ID is Rahul, that particular column, table or something, it will print out in the output. For example, if you add to cart some and you place it in a wish list in your e-commerce site, and for that particular user ID, what are the wish list, everything will be retrieved. Now here just try like this, or 1 equals to 1. What is this? 1 equals to 1 will always true, right? Here I am saying if you have basic SQL knowledge, user ID either Rahul or true, whatever it is. So if you don't know that user ID, I mean, because you have to know user ID first of all to hack that site. You don't know, but simply you have given as Rahul, but you have used or and given true boolean value. So how SQL understands is, it will interpret something like this, where user ID is Rahul does not exist. But before throwing error, I am also saying if this condition is satisfied, then give me the results. 1 equals to 1 true. User ID equals to true. That means condition is satisfied. It will retrieve all the user IDs present in the database. That's the very blunder, and trust me, it happened in the year of 90s, 97 or 98, when the web world emerged at the first time, in one official Japan website where they have used bankings, they have used like this, because that is the initial stage of web development, and the hackers, tried in this manner. Basically what it does is, where user ID equals to true, that means if user ID exists in a table, then it will return true. There are total 100 user IDs exist in that table. If you say where user ID equals to true, that means it satisfies for all the 100 columns, and it retrieved all the 100 columns user ID details in the UI page. That's the blunder happened. How it happened? So it's the reason for that is, he has given just a name. If he given like this, it will throw an error. User ID does not exist in the database, so it will give you an error. But smartly he put this conjunction, and said this one equals to 1, or I will say 5 greater than 2, true. Okay, where user ID equals to Rahul or true, one should be satisfied to execute this query. This is not satisfied, assume that this is not there. I gave randomly something, or 5 greater than 2 satisfied, and it returns true where user ID equals to true. This is how it goes to database. So true in the sense, if the user ID is present for a column, then that will be retrieved because condition is true. Fine. So all the columns are retrieved which is having user ID, by just simply tweaking it by writing or conjunction and boolean value. Okay, that is also you have to take care. If you see ID equals to 121, something like this, or you say ID equal to 199, and see how it is behaving. Okay, so it should not give the values which satisfies in this condition. So all the values in a bulk will be retrieved. So please take care of this as well by putting a conjunction. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much about my inputs regarding SQL injection. Wait, there is still one more excellent concept, that is automation tool. There is an automation tool which will do this SQL injection testing behalf of yourself. Okay, so which we'll be seeing in our next lecture. I deliberately put this at the last, but because if I bring it out in the first lecture, you will not concentrate on this manual testing tricks. Okay, so let me bring out the tool and explain you in my next lecture. Thank you.